together. I think it's really good. So I want to hear feedback from the experts here to see how we can help. Sometimes we we are under a lot of pressure. I mean, not coming from everyone, from the circle, from the inner circle, from your own staff, customers, even family members.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have family members who are supportive enough, then it's good. Mine is also not really.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I think everybody can relate to that theme.
Correct. So yeah, I mean, I want if Chris and can share, you guys can share, the experts here. So yeah, that's my thought for today.
Thank you, Chris. So thank you, team. We hope at the end of today's topic, at least you get something out of the topic. I mean, to deal with your own situations.
Sure.
What
Anyone
about Sue?
else?
Yeah.
Sue.
Hi, Sue. Where are you from? You can unmute yourself.
Afiq,
we have Afiq in the house as well. Hi, Afiq. Long time no see.
Yeah. He said he's looking for tip and trick. So, okay. We will point you out to Chris after this. I'm sure he got a lot of tip and trick.
Yeah. Afiq is in our GAP program last time into the drone business.
Wow.
So it's a new industry, a lot of challenges, a lot of adoption. So hence a lot of mental stress. Am I right, Afiq? Betul ah?
So to those that just joined us, I mean, we're just having a small chat while waiting for others to join. So please feel free to use the chat box to introduce yourself, what you do, and why you are here, so that it will also give information to the panelists to tailor their sharing after this. Okay? I think in about 4 minutes or 5 minutes, we can start our conversations. And we will record the session. So those that come late, they can always look at the recording later.
Okay.
Guys, I just want to share a little bit where I just had a friend, a good friend, who just messaged me saying, I'm make sure not to overshare. You don't have to paint yourself as a, serial victim and all these things. And I think it's really interesting how, like some people will be worried, and it is a real stigma, right? Like if he's thinking that, how many of us are thinking that, can we really share? Can we talk about it? Will people look at us as losers? That's the word, that could be out there. Would it destroy chances of opportunities? And I think my answer is simple. If you have nothing to hide and you're doing things with the right intent, then it's I don't think there's such thing as oversharing. But especially when it doesn't involve other people, you're only speaking on your own experience, and that's what I'm here to do. And I think that makes me very comfortable, in giving these talks or having my sessions with Falcon Post. I think that the part where I had to close a company, there's an article on that. So yeah, I mean, it's already all from our experience, and as long as we don't talk about other people, because we can't control them, we can only control ourselves. That's what it's all about now. So yeah.
Thanks, Chris. I just want to echo your sentiments because, with social media, the biggest challenge for us is actually other people's opinion. I mean, if you've been following the Rugby World Cup, whether you win or lose, someone's got something to say, right? Referee lah, this one lah, that one, and all the other, right? All the more if you don't have a supportive environment around you. And what Chris has said is that, as long as we are authentic, we are vulnerable. I mean, we have to show the human side of us, right? Because sometimes we wear the mantle of a business owner or an entrepreneur, and everybody expects you to be wearing a cape with your underwear outside and, super person, right? So with that authenticity and that reasonable amount of vulnerability, it develops empathy. And empathy is one of the big, glues that holds our businesses together and moves it forward as well. So, thanks for highlighting that, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Derek. Lisa, pass over to you. I think we can start. Then we can more information from these two panelists.
Okay. One more to admit, Afzal.
Ready.
Okay, let's just start today. Hello and welcome to MIDAS Impact Tuesday. And this month, actually, we dedicate our Impact Tuesday to focus on a very important topic that is rarely discussed. All right. This month, we aim to shed some light on mental health issues. For the benefit of those that are not familiar with MIDAS, let me just share with you what MIDAS and Impact Tuesday is all about. So MIDAS is actually a Proficeo impact brand where we provided a platform for startups, corporations, academia, community. All of this group of people come together and then work together to make the world a better place. Okay, so through MIDAS, we have actually launched several initiatives in the past 2 years. We have impact challenges and competition, just like the recent MICA and also the Kuala Lumpur challenge, to better improve the city. And then we have the impact challenge, such as the campaign, such as the Tapir project, where we actually crowdsource more than 100 STs and NGOs in this particular project. And they come together to list all their projects in communities. And then we have all those reduce, reuse, and recycle activities there. So whenever you wanted to recycle your oil, recycle your glasses, or things like that, you just need to go to this list and search, okay, what are the ones that actually are applicable to you. So every last Tuesday of the month, we actually organize an Impact Tuesday to focus on sustainability and in the hope of educating and engaging startups in the topics that we discuss. All right. Today's session, let me invite my colleague Afzal, who will be moderating today with our dear panelists Derek and Chris on today's topic, startup resilience. Okay. In today's challenging world, the startups and the entrepreneurs need more resilience than ever before. Over to you, Afzal. Have a good day.
Thank you, Lisa. And good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So today I think we have a very special, I don't want to say special topic, but I think it's an important topic for us to know in this very challenging climate. And we have a special guest to discuss with us their perspective, their personal story and what they do to deal with mental health issue. But just to share some stat before we go into our conversations. So it is estimated that about 18% of Malaysian population experience some form of mental health issue, and the number is increasing post-COVID. So I think this topic is important, and it's important for all of us to understand so that you can assist yourself and also people around you. So first, let me introduce our panelists today. So we have Christopher Talk, founder of Better Work AI. So Chris, he will share his story of his own struggle, his lesson learned, and journey as a leader and also entrepreneur, and what he did to overcome his obstacle. So Chris, if you can share with us, more detail, a quick detail about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Christopher Top, and I am a serial entrepreneur. I think one of the things that I'm more known for is community building. So I love creating communities, whether it's young corporate Malaysians, and the NGO is also called Young Corporate Malaysians. Started that a long time ago. I also did flash mobs for unity purposes under an organization called Random Alphabets. So we do flash mob, we do social experiments, and one of those impromptu kind of stuff. We will execute it, we will video it, and then we will share to people. Usually we come some kind of message like, we're not doing anything wrong, why be afraid? Or that we are more united than many people think, especially in in Malaysia, where culturally we are sensitive. But I'm more known for working with youth talents and development. With my vision for myself, I feel that the impact I will make is to create a better Malaysia. For the reason that there's so many talents, and the things that we can do in Malaysia is so amazing. But I'm fed up with the kind of community that we until now still have. When people complain and they don't take charge, they don't make the initiative to do something about the problems that they see. When clearly, if you could just solve that, you can even make money out of that, and that's how I paved my way into entrepreneurship. And so I'm one of the pioneers in digital marketing, and has continued to do so, starting my companies like Social Grooves, and then eventually merging with a company called Cause Effect, and into a full digital, not just marketing, but also transformation, called Digitally Asia. I've also started an AI company called Better Work Asia, Better Work AI, and that is so far it's been my trajectory towards helping companies and brands to perform their best, and to be able to really create an impact in the society. So my journey in it started like everybody, right? Like actually we all been through traumas that we don't realize, and it's all happy dory. I mean, especially when things are going so well, you don't really see things, but you don't realize that there are actually things about you that have been impeding your progress. And in my stage, I'm very truly blessed. I keep just doing things. I never had time for reflecting on, say, for example, when my ex-girlfriend, sued me for a situation that I feel is it's not nobody's wins except lawyers, for example, or when I had a friend who then rescued me and put in 150,000, saying that he's always wanted to be part of a agency, digital industry, and later on to be told by my manager, who I didn't really manage well, unfortunately, saying that I wasn't doing my job well. And even if the company wasn't doing that well, but it was still surviving, and we could actually do more. My partner, this friend of mine, said he wanted all his money back, and that's 150,000, which is a lot of money, right? And you sort of start to think like, is this fair? Is this not fair? Should I be giving back? And all the people will tell you, hey, just close the company if he really wants to make an issue out of it. But I didn't want to, right? Reputation means everything. And I just signed the IOU that he made me sign, which is quite disappointing. It's like thinking you will run away. And also all these things that happened in my life, but it still didn't affect me, because I still just move on, because I know I can deliver, I know I can do this. That entrepreneur spirit, just keep saying you can do it, you can survive. But MCO hit, and I think many people, including myself, was really hit badly. Not because we couldn't find money anymore. In fact, as a digital agency, it was my prime time. It's like, wow, nobody could do any activities on ground, right? So everyone go digital. So what failed was my people. They weren't expected to lead in a time like this, in the time when they were all, they had to go back home, and they had their own family issues to sort out, and all kinds of things. And they don't have a leader that could tell them what to do, how to do it, and in an office setting where we were used to, right? What we're used to. And so I made a decision to merge with the partner that I was talking about in Digital Asia, and I lost 95 of everybody, and eventually lost everyone, in the next 3 years. And that was when I realized that I had so much issues that I didn't recognize, and took that chance to transform and really understand what's going on, both in my work, my relationship, and also personally, my work, my relationship, and myself. And that's when I used professional help to work me out. Prior to that, I'm like, yeah, the word is there already, right? There was therapists, there were all these people talking about speaking to psychologists or psychiatrists. I don't even know what's the difference between the two words. Let alone being letting myself be open to share all these things. But eventually I did, and all I can tell you is the last 3 years have been super transformational. not just for myself, but also the way I build relationship with other people. But more importantly, I think I learned the lesson of being responsible, growth mindset. I don't know how to describe, but I wouldn't recognize the me 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and 3 years ago. The evolution has been so quick and fast, and there's so much I can share, but really, I think that's the exciting part lah. That once you recognize the awareness that there's something wrong, not just on other people but yourself, the changes that can happen to you and what you can do, that is like that unfathomable areas of what you can do can just unlock by itself. And that's hopefully what I can get, I can share with you to get out of this session today.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. It's a very nice long introduction, but we will go into each area after this, so that I mean you can share as what our participant want. I mean tips and tricks on how they can deal with their own challenges. So next, I would like to invite our second panelist, Derek Kulesingham, founder of Focus Mind Solution. So Derek will share his experience working with people, not just entrepreneurs, and how he assists them in dealing with their mental and emotional health. So he helped them work toward finding solutions to their issues and challenges. So Derek, if I can invite you to introduce yourself and what you do, then we continue with the rest of the episode. Over to you.
Thanks, Afzal. Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. One of the things listening to Chris is just a reminder that we all live by principles, right? To make things simple. And one of the things is that you can, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an up and coming employee in your organization with dreams of starting your own business, this is a very simple reminder. We can almost have everything that we want, not at the same time. Sometimes we think we are a super person, right? So just a brief introduction so that you can maybe ask some relevant questions for both Chris and myself. I'm trained as an environmental scientist. I did that at the Australian National University. I worked in consulting and in the oil and gas pipeline construction industry before venturing into business. My last corporate position was a CEO of a startup telecom services company, which I left in 2004. A defining moment in my life was, in the same year, upon, complete recovery from a major health challenge, I set off on a new life trajectory, which has led me to where I am today. I currently run two businesses, one of which is Focus Mind Solutions. And what we do is we help people to conceptualize and design programs, training, facilitation, performance, coaching, and we also provide guidance and mentorship services. Because we realize that everybody is looking, especially in this area of mental and emotional wellness and well-being. Everybody's looking for a silver bullet. Everybody's looking for the magic key. And the realization after almost 20 years of doing this work is that there is no silver bullet, there's no magic key. What we realize as we go along the journey is that it is a combination lock, like one of those travel cases or bicycle locks that we have, right? And in every key area of our life, you actually change the combination according to where you are right now. And the thing is, like what Christopher says, when you are doing something in finance, maybe, and that you find the combination, but something in the relationship goes off. So it is about being mindful, it's about being present, it's being resilient, and everybody is on their own trajectory. I'm passionate about this idea of using business to build people and helping them to be higher, better versions of themselves. Generally people, vilify entrepreneurs and business owners. We get a bad rep, right? We say, oh, you are using people to build business. I want to change that narrative, because the most important thing about mental and emotional well-being, the number one thing is that you have to have clarity of what you want. And most people don't know what they want and why they want it, or they start knowing what they want and why they want it, but along the way we get lost, right? Just like as we are driving around without a guidance system. So a fun fact about myself before I end is I took a startup business in the telecom services industry with 3 people using second-hand equipment with a simple business model, generating over 6 million annual revenue within 4 years with 0 industry-specific and technical skills or experience. So it's all boiling down to people skills and relationship building. So, another thing is that over a 16-year period, I had my health challenge, my wife had a health challenge. We were running multiple businesses at that time, so we were stretched on more than one occasion. And, my wife passed in 2020. I'm currently a single parent to a 10-year-old daughter who sometimes I believe is 19 or 29. So there are challenges which, sometimes in life, it just impacts everything that we do. So, Chris has got brilliant current, experiences, and I have a bit of foresight because I'm 14 years his senior. So, you've got a bit of data backing what Chris says as well. So, looking forward to a really fun and engaging conversation, and looking forward to some really good questions. Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Afsa.
Okay. So to echo what Derek says, so please use the chat function to put in question, because we don't want this to be the 3 of us, ask and answer. So we want you guys to be in this conversation too. So please type in whatever things that you are thinking right now, you are feeling right now, issues, challenges. Especially for you guys founder. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with your employee. So ask those questions, and then hopefully our 2 panelists will be able to provide some guidance and insight to your question. So I think before we go into our conversation, Lisa, can you please present the Mentimeter? So I just want to get the feel of everybody in the room. What's your mood right now? So that we know who we are dealing with currently. So it's just a 1 or 2 minutes activity. So if you guys can go to Mentimeter, menti.com. So just key in these 2, just key in this code and answer the question. Because we want to know the mood of, we have about 23 people in the room. So if everybody can take your phone or log in from your laptop and describe your mood. Okay, we have about 2. Okay, just a little stress. It's okay. You are here at the right place. You find some things toward the end of this conversation. And can I get others? In this meeting room to indicate, or to put your input. You're having some technical issue, but don't worry. You can still go to menti.com and key in the code 52114598. Okay, I'll just repeat again. Go to menti.com and key in the code 52114598. Lisa, can I get you to share it again? Okay, I think now it's more interesting. Okay, so just to share this with the panelists. So we have, yeah. I think everybody here is looking for something. The tip and trick, Chris, from you, so that they can deal with this emotion, and also from Chris, so and also from Derek. Okay, thank you so much. At least we know your current mood right now. So I want to go now into our first question. So Lisa, you can unshare. Okay, thank you, Lisa. So Chris, I want to start with you. I think we all know that being an entrepreneur is tough, and everybody here, I think, agree with that statement. It is a general statement. So maybe you can share your perspective on mental health, why you think it is important for everyone, especially for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and it's perfect. So thanks for getting that feedback from everybody. The one thing I will say first is that, I don't profess to know and understand what you are going through, because we are all, having our own unique situations. Where and guess what? The one thing I learned, through all this studying is, every time we add in something into our lives, it doesn't add up like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time you add one element into your life, it actually adds a relationship string with all the things that you are currently doing. I'll give you an example. If you are a husband, and also a father, and also a son, and also a grandson, and then you are a leader of a company, and then you have other things, right? When you add one more thing to it, it affects everything. Does that make sense? It's not as simple as, say, adopting a new dog, for example. You got to know, adopting this new dog will take you away from your time with your father, or your children, or your work. So one thing to really realize is actually how many things are you doing at the same time. If you don't realize that, and then you don't, you keep saying yes to everybody, then you inevitably cause stress that you never thought you will have. So I just thought that, it's something I wanted to share, because I think that's the very interesting insight that I learned from. But on that note of handling stress, as what we saw just now, I've learned this really powerful tool, which is, you ask yourself, this stress, right? Is it causing you to die? It's just, I know it's very strange, right? Like, why do you associate stress, or rather anxiety, with death? But if I can bring you back to the old days, like in caveman days, when the hunters are out, and then they are feeling stressed, or anxious, what do you think they are afraid of? They are afraid of being eaten, right? They're also being hunted, especially at night. So this anxiety, stress, fear are all actually emotions that protect you. So they exist as a protection mechanism. But we all see it as a negative emotion. We see it as a, why should he be feeling this way? Or, why do we deserve it? I mean, why? So many questions. But that's why there's a relation to death, because the old days, it's all. But in today's world, we are feeling it in every way and form, because we have superseded that kind of environment into a very complex world. So a lot of things that it can be very simple, like, for example, giving a public speaking, or telling your staff that they may have might have to change because of certain, you won't be able to get that comfort anymore. Hello?
Yep.
Sorry, I think my internet dropped off a little bit. Yeah, okay, you can hear me. If you can see this as, oh, okay, if I do this, will I die? If you don't, then maybe the stress will be relieved a lot more than what you initially thought was very stressful to you. So I thought that was a very simple and easy trick that you can tell yourself. This thing that makes me full anxious.
Sorry, Chris. Can I
death
suggest you?
possibilities? If they're not, then why am I treating it?
Chris, can I suggest you to switch off your camera so that we can hear you better?
Sorry, yeah, it was fine all this while. Also, sorry about that. Okay,
No worries.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So that's with that's really. I mean, I just how to manage the stress and mental issues, and I feel, if you can clarify the reasons that's causing me to die, if it doesn't, I think the perspective of how you see that stress, instead of seeing it as something that's scary, something that makes you more, excited, for example, right? From fear to excitement, from anxious to excitement, from fear to joy, the thrill, these are duality, right, of our emotions. For each negative, you actually there's a positive. But even that is wrong. So now what I'm trying to say is that emotions are your friends. They are protecting you, and you just have to see it as such. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chris. If I can summarize what you say for the benefit of everybody is like, accept your feelings and at the same time, acknowledge that and work around your feelings, so that you can find a better solutions to whatever you are dealing currently. Derek, I want to go to you. I think from your experience, because you work with people. In your entrepreneurship experience, also, can you share or what are the key sign or indicator that founder might be struggling with their mental health? If you can share those indicator or key sign for us to do.
Well, that's a really good question. The challenge is that there are no really key signs, right? I mean, some are quite apparent. You can see behavior changes or, physical changes. People are, behaving differently. They are losing weight, or, they normally go off tangent from their habits or their routine. So that's a bit more visible. Sometimes it's a bit less visible, but you catch it in their languaging, the way that they speak, the way that they write, or correspond, the way that they respond to you is different. But the biggest challenge that we have today is what we call the silent stressors, right? Where, we are so, you see, our brain is designed to keep us alive. That's it. But we are using our brain to do so many other things. And one of the things that the brain does to keep us alive is that when we are stressed, it looks for addictions or and addictions can be anything, right? It's things that suppress your feelings or your emotions, or it diverts it to something else. And working hard is just as much an addiction, or even reading heaps of books and avoiding doing work is also addiction. So it comes in different ways and forms for many people. So, back to the principle, business is easy actually. Business is simple, but it's the people that are complicated. Business is simple, but it's not very obvious. So as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we really need to pay attention to what's happening around us, especially with the people who are working with us. And most importantly, like what Chris says, as ourselves. So some of the work that we do to help people to avoid, these slippery slopes or stress, anxiety, depression is, repairing your body and mind connection. And this is something that everybody can do. And it's just like a Bluetooth, right? Sometimes your device is not paired. So imagine that your body and your mind is not paired. Your physical, device and your operating system is not paired. So repairing this system involves being healthy with your physical self, at the same time being emotionally and mentally healthy with your mental self. Some people work on mentally all the time, right? They go for vipassana meditation and all this type of stuff, but physically they don't shift. At the other side of the scale, you have got people going to the gym and cycling and running ultra marathons, but mentally they're not shifting. And the challenge is when we don't pair the body and the mind, the emotions get stuck, like what Chris says, right? And emotions, there are no right or wrong. Emotions are basically here to tell us a story, to generate an impulse, and to clarify a purpose. Why am I feeling like this? Because anger, where most people think that is a negative emotion, actually drives us to achieve. I mean, who of us here as a startup entrepreneur or a business owner, someone said you cannot do it and that's why we are here? So it is how we use emotions, and when you pair your body and your mind, then emotional literacy, even before emotional intelligence and emotional resilience. Emotional literacy is like learning the alphabet or learning the words of emotions. And when you learn the words of emotions, and there's a huge, collection of books out there by a guy called Dan Newby, who, popularized this. He says, look, when you understand your emotions, then you can notice it, you can name it, you can know why you're having that emotion, and you can use this to navigate through life. Now, isn't that great? So that's the type of work that we are doing, because most of us, by the time you are able to see that there's something wrong, there's something wrong already. It's just like us managing our vehicle, right? Most of us, we will service our car every 5,000 or 10,000 consistently. But when it comes to our body, when's the last time we actually, did something for our body and our mental health? We wait for something to rattle and shake and drop off. Then we say, oh, crap, I need to go for, medical checkup. So 3 key points where we can catch ourselves starting to lose power is number 1, when you actually sense that you're losing control. The second one is when we catch ourselves focusing on lack, focusing on what's going wrong, what's missing in our business, in our life, in our relationships, and all that type of stuff. And the third one is when we catch ourselves being stuck in the past, where we are always going to our memory and the rubbish that has happened before, or we are so caught up in the future, in anticipation, in imagination, we are never in the present moment, because it is only in the present moment that you can actually address whatever is in front of us. We cannot fix the past. We cannot fix the future. The only way to fix the future is actually to do something now. So that's why I say, the work that I do, I always tell people, I'm here to help people to win at life. What does it mean? Win stands for what's important now and what's important next, because that's the only thing you need to do. What's important now? What's important next? Then you start living by priorities, what matters most, and then we develop the discipline of focusing on one thing at a time and all things in succession. So most of us fall on this slippery slope because we don't notice it enough. And like what, I think Tim Tay said earlier on, right? This is a lonely journey. You guess what? Well, the biggest disease of the 21st century is actually loneliness. It's true.
Yeah.
Right? And,
Yeah,
the COVID experience, really hammered a lot of people in terms of isolation and loneliness and stuff like that. And all these things are starting to come up. And it comes up for general people more readily than business owners and entrepreneurs, because we have a DNA to fix it. We are solution orientated. We are go-getters. We are, we will suppress it. We are believers of delayed gratification and all this type of stuff. It works generally, just not for your physical and mental health. Yeah.
I think you share a very powerful word. Focus on what's now and what's future. I think not just entrepreneur, maybe just a normal people. I mean, we always drag our experience, our failure, our past stress, whenever we are making our decisions or dealing with our current situation. So I think that is it's simple, but I think it means a lot. Just focus what now, because now is important, and what's future. Okay. I think I have one question here that relates back to what you shared, Derek, from Shi Yong. So he asked that, can someone have a very good mental health without having a good physical health? Okay. And do we need to solve them together, or at one at a time? So what's your perspective on this?
Can you run good hardware with outdated software? Or can you run good hardware with outdated operating systems? So, once again, it's a balance of integrate. Well, it's very difficult, this word balance. What we prefer to use is integration. So just start doing something from where you are for your physical well-being. Simultaneously do something for your mental health as well. Just now I said some people just work on mental health and just leave the physical health, and some people focus on physical health without doing the mental health. Well, ideally you start wherever you are and you bridge the gap. So once again, it's a very general question, but I suppose the simple response is you want to identify your starting point for both of them and then bridge the gap. I mean, Chris has an amazing story. Yesterday you shared, I think, well, Chris, you lost about 20 kilos or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you see, he noticed that he wasn't getting anywhere, and he decided to do something about his physical health. And when he started working on his physical health, his mental health started improving. And once again, the emotions between the body and the mind, you are repairing that connection. So it's like your Bluetooth now is functioning brilliantly. And as a person, you will progress. Can you see, the results overnight? Probably not, because it has to do with repetition, improvement over a period of time. So Chris will share with you, I think he did it for what, 2 years or 3 years to get to where he is today. So what we are advocating here is, Chris and myself, we are both not educated in this area, but we bring about a lot of personal experience, and I've helped a lot of people through the process. So there's no one magic bullet that solves the challenge. What you need to find is a combination that works for yourself. And as always, if you have a question or you feel that you need assistance, put up your hand or, get in touch with someone. And the most important thing is don't be silent. Don't avoid it and don't suppress it, because avoidance is not a strategy.
Yeah, Derek, I totally agree with you. And as you pointed out, the experience just happened to me, like literally so recently, the last 3 years, when I knew that everything was crumbling. And, as what you already pointed out, you just keep focusing on the bad things, and, you just can't seem to think that, is there any way you can get out of it? And that's a really dark area to be in, right? Like, and that loneliness feeling just becomes like super emphasized, like, no one will understand you, not your partners, not your, no, like, you think there's all hope is gone. And it just took that one outreach to a good friend of mine who said, Chris, you feel like you want to control everything, and and then you cannot control everything, and then you forgot that the one thing you can control is yourself, and then he reminded me that if you can't fix the one thing you can control, what do you think will happen to the rest? And so he embarked me on the exercise to do something daily, consistently. And it started with just 10 burpees. And even then also, I remember my mindset was like, so painful. I'm really in so much hurt. There's so much pain everywhere, and you're asking me to suffer. So, it didn't make sense then. But really having an accountable party, that really made the difference. I reached out, and there was a friend, willing to take me on a journey, asking me to tell him that I have done it. And so I had someone to help me validate that I've done it. So every day I would do 10 bungees, 10 jumps, and then it evolved to 50 star jumps, 10 push-ups, and 1 minute plank, and that evolved to 100 push-ups, 30 100 star jumps, 30 push-ups, 1 minute plank. And today, after 3 years, I've lost I think about from 91 kg to 78 kg. And guess what? It wasn't the physical health that I needed. It was a bonus, and I know it felt better to see myself look better, comparing all the old videos and my current video. So I think that's one thing, right? The self-confidence really came back, through that that outward appearance, and you can see the outward appearance. You cannot see the mental changes. I mean, you can't visibly see it, you can feel it, but you can see the outward appearance. So that helped me with my confidence. But that was not the reason why I wanted to do it. I found out that by doing this practice, that that experience gave me energy in the morning. And the wanting to continue it, turn it into a habit that affected every single thing in my life, including having self-discipline, having that positive, because when you exercise, you actually, create dopamine, right? So you don't chase the wrong one, you have the right one in place already. And I can do other habits on the way already. I can do things like 10,000, which that's the one thing that I feel like if you can't do daily exercise, even as simple as that, you can definitely do 10,000 steps. It's proven that a 10,000 step resets your body to a stage where you have now time to step away from all your other issues and give yourself time to think. And that's what happens. 10,000 steps, by the way, guys, is 1 hour. You can achieve around 6,000 to 7,000 steps, depending on how fast you walk. So 1.5 hours, you can get 10,000 steps. That 1.5 hours, you can spend listening on a podcast or reading a book. or talking to a friend, time to strategize. Can you imagine when you're on so much problems, you don't think that, you have time to rest, or you don't think you have time for yourself. But that's absolutely what you shouldn't be doing. You should create that time slot. So for me, 10,000 steps was that time slot that helped me to maintain, and don't overreact to people and don't make wrong decisions. So if anything, I would encourage everybody to try the 10,000 steps. If you don't know how to measure it, get a smartwatch. I got myself a Mi Band, and I'm still using it until now. It's the cheapest option available, about 100 ringgit, 120 ringgit. But most importantly, you can see your step counts, and when you know how I'm feeling, when I do the 10,000 steps, you know what I'm talking about in terms of that mental safety, the safe space, as you have time for yourself and yourself only, not for anyone else.
So Chris, so I mean, as what we discussed right now, I mean, you guys talking about what happened before COVID, during COVID, post-COVID. I mean, there's a lot of things change. Whatever things that we see as our comfort zone is no longer applicable. And you did a lot. I mean, during the pandemic, I mean, you have your firstborn. I mean, you're dealing with that. I mean, you do a lot of transformation on yourself. So I want to also get some insights from all these changes. How is this affect your teams, their motivations, and what's changed that you see now because of you? And I'm sure it also affect people around you.
That's right. That's right. So I'm very blessed. I took the chance to apply for CGP. That was under Proficeo 3 years ago, and I got my I got the chance to be part of it. And that's where I learned something called the different management styles, called the radical candor. And I found out that I am the kind of person that instead of there's a vertical line that says very caring and not so caring. And then there's a horizontal line that says, setting goals for people and don't set goals at all. So you'll be able to see your quadrant, are you a very caring person, but don't really set goals? Then you'll be under the ruinous empathy, which basically means that you care for them so much, but you don't trust them enough to set them goals so that they can achieve, a better result for themselves. And what happens then is that then these people will never learn. And I only knew that because of this program. So sometimes, just being, very open to learn, new concepts. That's what I think Derek was saying, right? Like if you don't have the head knowledge, then how are you supposed to apply it, right? So that was one of the biggest change that I applied on in terms of my people. Prior to that, I was afraid to set goals because I was afraid to be disappointed. And that's the real truth. The previous answer to that was I didn't want people to feel like, they were overworked, overexposed. I wanted to be a nice boss, nice leader. But you heard before, in good times, a different leader is needed, right? So in COVID times, especially, and even now, with all the wars going on, and I think generally a lot of business people are saying that revenue is going down. A lot of people are saving more, a bit afraid of what's going to happen. So they're cutting costs, right? Especially at this time, having that other side of the quadrant, which is, caring still, so the caring doesn't stop, but also having setting goals for them, being able to trust them to do things so that they can learn themselves is what now we need. And to achieve that, you really have to stop all the previous belief system that you probably have on yourself. Maybe you don't want to be, you don't want people to talk bad about you, in the future, when people leave and they say, oh, my boss, they did this. Or maybe you have some trauma. In my case, I had a trauma from my father, because my father is a businessman. And, I've seen what he's gone through. And I can even say that I felt how he felt. It was transferred to me. I mean, sometimes these things happen, right? You can't control. And you don't know sometimes, your childhood, how you process the feelings that your parents pass down to you. And but in my case, I found that through a professional. So I seek professional support in order to identify this trauma. And from then I learned how to navigate past why I couldn't tell my people, that you have to achieve this. Because if you don't, then it's not going to work out for the company, right? It's not about me, it's about how the company needs to go. And then today I'm able to surpass all that. I used to be avoiding these management issues and pass it to other people because I knew it would fail because if it's me. But through growth mindset and through that transformation, that takes steps, and as you said, like, it's just one step, one transformation after another. Today, I'm very happy. I just got feedback from my guys, that the way we run our meetings are on point now. It's and everybody knows what they need to do, and there's an expectation that we all have to do it together in order to achieve a overall team success and not just an individual success, as opposed to last time where it's all sometimes found as a founder, right? It's only you. Like you have to set the path and everybody has to go. So that's the trap that I thought I caught myself into, but I've managed to overcome it, and I hope that you guys understand that sometimes you know what you need to do, but it's your own mental block that stopped you from doing it, your own belief system, and that's where you need actually professional support or even knowledge as what Derek is talking about.
How you manage with expectations, Chris? Because as a founder, I mean, it's not just people outside of your office. Within your office, people seek you for directions. They want you to set the goals and all that. I mean, there's a lot of expectation as a founder that you guys are managing. How you manage expectations?
So I love this question. Again, if I never knew that in the first place, I could learn so much, through all these different things. I would not have learned about a company called BNI. So I joined BNI not long ago, and I realized one of the things that they really put is self, your promise to yourself, and that's what we did, right? First we said, hey, what do you think you can do? And then we hear the staff and say they can do this. But right, by because you have your more experience than them, right? You know what this person can do, which is maybe mismatched from what they're actually doing. And some is more, some is less. Then it is your now, because you are the leader, you are the one that's now supposed to say, this person can actually do more. How much more? And from there, you can now set the expectation. Do you think if I ask you to do this, do you think you can do it? And then you will hear, what they will say. You got the right person if they know that you care for them, and you know that you are setting a higher target that they think they can achieve. And if they say, yes, I think I can, and they must say them by themselves, you can't ask them to do it. They must say, what do you, if I would like, you want you to achieve this, do you think you can do it? If they say yes, then I remind them, this is your promise to yourself, not to me, because this is your growth that we are talking about. And, we are all interested in your growth because that's how the company grows together. Now, if they can accept this and they can produce the results, I would say you found yourself a star leader, someone that you can really groom and turn them into, your manager level. And then eventually, who knows, you take over the CEO role one day. And that's what I truly believe. It is about accountability, setting goals that they themselves must agree in, and then, helping them to achieve that. And if they have problems in between the way, it's your job as a leader to make sure that all these problems can be solved. And how to solve this problem, of course, that depends on the situation. But as a leader, you should always be finding ways that helps them to achieve the goals that, both parties have set. And if they can do it, again, as I said, you found that group of people who can really bring you to the next level.
So Chris, no, not everybody is.
I thought to add, which I think Derek can add into, which is empathy. For the longest of times, I always thought that empathy is something that only some people have and some people don't have. And you can see this, right? You can sometimes ask people about certain situation, and they will say like, "Oh, I don't really get it." And maybe to yourself, you're like, "Wow, that person maybe they don't have, they lack empathy." But I realized later that empathy only comes when you understand their point of view. When you know why they are saying all these things. And once you know that, then you realize why they're seeing that thing differently from you. So really trying to understand each other is not something that is easy, right? Because you need to take time, and you need to take patience. You have to have a lot of patience to be able to understand the other person. And only then you can empathize with that person, right? And then only you can do all those things that I was talking about. But I think Derek will be able to share more about this, the power of empathy. I think that's how you can get people to work with you.
Thanks, Chris. Afzal, can I just add on to that? One of the things that we
Yes.
realized through this process,
Please share.
yeah, one of the hardest things is to get our thinking right, that's the biggest challenge, right? So let me just share with you some simple frameworks that you can use for yourself and your teams, and hopefully it'll be beneficial. So what I encourage people to do at the start is just look at this little triangle, right? Just draw a triangle, and these are the areas of focus. The first one, the base of the triangle, is you, and it's always you versus you. So the first challenge is, can we become a higher and better version of ourselves? The second arm of the triangle is people. How do we work with people? How do we work through people? How do we serve people? Because everything that we do as entrepreneurs, business owners, and employees are working with people, essentially. And the third arm of the triangle is actually clarity. Clarity in key areas of your life. And for each key area, you want to identify what is the purpose, what is the objective, what is the outcomes, and what is the plan. So this POOP, if you don't do it, you will end up in poop for sure, right? And from your purpose, your objectives, your outcomes, and your plan, then you can have the clarity of what's the next step. So if you just look at this triangle, you've got to work on yourself, you've got to work with people, you've got to work through people, and most importantly, you have to have clarity of what is important for you, what matters most. So that's one part. The second part is then realizing that what do we need to work on ourselves on a daily basis, like what Chris says, what disciplines do we need to develop over a period of time? And to move ahead, especially in this area of body-mind connection, these are the five pillars I call, right? The first one is attitude. What is our outlook on life? Is it more optimistic or is it more pessimistic? Then the next one is mindset. How do we think? Are we more growth mindset or are we more fixed mindset? Now, as entrepreneurs and business owners, be careful, because there are benefits of having a fixed mindset. To get from startup to break even, you need someone with fixed mindset. From break even to profitability, you need someone with growth mindset. The question is, are you that person who can switch hats? Because some people can start something and get it going, but not many people can take it to the next level. So understanding the role of attitude and mindset is very important. The third one, of course, is habits. And it's about behavior patterns. It can be our behavior patterns based on the person that we are, or like what Chris said, it could be inherited behavior patterns based on the people that were in our environment when we were growing up. So sometimes we think that we are doing this or that or the other, then we say, hey, look, actually, why do I know what to do but don't do what I know? That's the biggest question. Most of us, we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. So that's where we need to sort this out. The fourth part is mindfulness, just being present, giving attention, energy, and focus to the present moment right now, so that we can move ahead. Right now, next step. Right now, next step. And the fifth one is resilience. And the resilience is about bouncing back from objection, rejection, setbacks, disruptions, and all that type of stuff. So these are the five key areas that we are wanting to be aware of and build ourselves up. So it's like going to a gym to condition yourself, right? You've got all different types of body parts that you exercise. In the body mind connection space, you want to be aware of your attitude, your mindset, your habits, your mindfulness, and your resilience. Now, let me just end off with sharing with you the secret. You want to know the secret? Well, this is the secret. The secret is giving or having the ability to give attention, energy, and focus to what you're doing right now. And then what's next? What's next? What's next? It's about being able to do one thing spectacularly and then flowing on to the next thing. Because a lot of people think that we are multitasking. Actually, we are not. We think we are multitasking, but our brain and our brain, our heart, and our gut are just processing in fractions of time things one after another, but we think that we are multitasking, and that's where we lose a lot of our energy and focus. Now, the secret is attention, energy, and focus to what you're doing now. The magic, my friends, is gratitude. Just feeling grateful for what we have right now. Because without gratitude, you cannot move to the next step. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, we are so caught up in the dream, we are so caught up in our goals, we are so caught up in, what is happening out there, that we forget to be grateful about where we are, who we are, and what we have right now. And gratitude is this magic sauce that compounds and accelerates the success principles. So that's what I just wanted to add on. Thanks.
Gratitude. Wow. And guys, on the topic of gratitude, it's just not easy. Like everyone I talk to, every professional, they will always say, can I get you to write on a piece of, or get a book, and every day you just write 3 things I'm grateful for. And guys, just heart to heart with you guys, it's so hard. Like, yes, you can definitely write a lot of the grateful things, but there's also equivalent amount of injustice, unfairness. Why this happened to me? Why got politics? Why got office politics? Why is this person not understanding of my situation? Why can I get help? There's so much overwhelming sometimes that will affect especially entrepreneurs, right? Because entrepreneurs and also leaders, right, in any companies, they take risk all the time. Yeah, you take risk to say, yes, I have a solution. Why? Now you have to deliver, right? We take risk to say yes to this new hire that will join your team, and that may not positively impact the team in some time in the future. It's always so much risk and then a lot of fear, anxiety that comes out of it, which I believe it's what contributes to the daily thing. So yeah, I would be the first to say, being grateful or writing this grateful journal is not going to be an easy task. But what you can do as a tip, to sort of overcome this is to create a time space for yourself. And come on, 24 hours, you sleep what a good you shouldn't be sleeping less than 6 hours, but a good 7 hours at the very least, 6 to 7 hours. And then you're working hours, right? And then you have time, like the rest of the time, doing something, right? Why can't you just slot in an hour time to do something that you like? And I think that really is the magic, because that helps you to be grateful at that moment. And a lot of times we don't do that. So if you are a family man, if you are married, then have that 1 hour slot to or even 1 hour a week, to have a date with your other half, or an hour a slot in a week to spend time with your family, an hour a slot a week to see your parents. So have that ingrained into your schedule, so that you don't feel like in that time that you're supposed to do something about a big problem that you're facing, or somebody's chasing you for money, or somebody's spoiling your day. Spend that time not thinking about all those things and only focus on that thing that you should be doing. That's what I have to say about how you can get the gratefulness from.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. Afzal, just a little tip for, what we mentioned earlier, that there are some of us here who are, building our businesses with teams, and you'd like to know what you can do with your teams. And, one of the simple things is to deliberately create an environment. And what do I mean by this? Because, John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. And, he goes on to say that leadership is influence. And we realize that influence can only be built on the foundation of trust. And trust can only be developed in a safe, secure, and nurturing environment. So if you're wanting to take the first step in terms of addressing our teams and our businesses, health and mental well-being, the first thing is to design and create a positive, supportive environment, so that people feel safe, they feel trusted, they feel cared for, and you also add to this, equipping people, encouraging people, empowering people, once you develop this environment of safety and trust, people will start communicating with each other more authentically, with more vulnerability. And at the same time, empathy, like what Chris says, is actually like a muscle, you know. The more you use it, the better it becomes. It's just like intuition, empathy is the same thing, right? So the more we use it, the more we do the simple steps, the better we become. It's just like what he did, you know. If you do push-ups and burpees and stuff for 3 years, you will be fitter, you'll be healthier, and you'll have more mental clarity. So these are some of the simple things to put in place. Just develop that environment. And unfortunately, the thing is, sometimes as business owners or entrepreneurs, we are too busy. So we teach people what to do, or we instruct people what to do. And just like parenting, I'm discovering that, sometimes teaching is very ineffective. And, while some things can be taught, most things are caught, which means you've got to model it. If you want, health and well-being in your organization, in your team, and in your family, it's got to start with you. That's why the triangle starts with you versus you. And then when you are committed to working on yourself, then you can model and teach other people, where the people comes in. And the third one is clarity. Why are you doing this? Why do you want more mental health? Why do you want more physical health? Why do you want to grow your business? What do you want your business to give you, and so on and so forth. So with the clarity, working on yourself and working on people, you are now focusing on progressing rather than wallowing in what is not going right and wrong and war here and there or whatever. Because whatever you give your attention, energy, and focus to, you will get more. We are just blessed with choice. We want to focus on positive or negative. And based on what we choose, we will get more of that.
Yeah. Speaking of positive and negative, there's a concept called the victim story and the responsible story. And if you guys find yourself often telling people of your victim story, don't get me, it's not wrong, because you have to have the outlet anyway. You have to have somebody who's willing to listen. And chances are you will tell a victim story, because it's hard to tell the responsible story. And this is why. As a victim, the payoff to be a victim is that you get people to listen to you. You get the pity, the pity. If somebody will empathize with you, you can even get people to give you good things, right? Because you are a victim. But the cost of being a victim is that people are going to think that you are unreliable, and that there are no opportunities will not come to you as much as they did. And sometimes you don't realize it, but you actually manipulate people when you are playing a victim. When's the last time you came back, from office, and and somebody spoiled your day, and you were supposed to do something with your other half, but then you said, oh, I had a bad day at work. I'm not gonna, can we just cancel all this? And the other person has been expecting something from you, and suddenly it just became like that, and that's not cool, right? So why did you change that story from a victim story to a responsible story? Instead of saying that this thing happened to me, why did you say that I should have done this? I could have did this. Think that what you could do to make things better. And then when you tell this story to another person, then as what Derek said, you reinforce that positivity. Something suddenly like, oh, not fair, suddenly becomes, instead of I had to, I say now I choose to, or this is what I'm, this is my responsibility. I can do this. And guess what? The payoff for being of course the cost for responsibility is that anxiety, right? You got to face it, right? You got to take responsibility, right, for what happened. But a lot of people forget that the payoff for being responsible is that you will become reliable. You will become that rock. People will depend on you, and people will listen to you. And naturally you will become that leader that you're meant to be. So I thought that is something that I really learned in the last 3 years, and I took serious responsibility of being an entrepreneur, being the leader in my company. And I stopped saying things like, if this fails, I could go back to corporate life, or this is not my thing. And honestly, that doesn't help me at all. Because even if I want to go back to corporate life, I should have think of the good things I can provide, instead of saying that I'm not cut out for this. So I thought, there's something I hope that, everybody could learn from. Instead of telling people or yourself a victim story, change it to how you would see it as a responsible way.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Derek. I think we are almost towards the end of our session. In the meantime, anybody have any questions for Chris or Derek? Please unmute yourself or type in the chat, and we'll be taking questions from the floor. Okay?
Lisa,
Thank you, Lisa.
can you just let me know when there are maybe 2 minutes left? Because what I'd like to do is, one of the things that we face most is overwhelm, right? There are too many things to do, and then we get, overwhelmed, and then we go procrastination. So what I'd like to do is just share with you or everyone here a simple framework on how to address being overwhelmed. And it is something that you can do. You can share with your teams, and hopefully it will leave you with something which is a tool that you can use immediately.
Oh, that's so awesome, Derek. Why don't you share that first while the others think about their questions, and maybe then they can type it into the chat box. Okay?
Okay, cool. Great. So,
Cool.
Chris raised a really strong point, actually, and that's where I say the hardest part is getting our thinking right? Most of us think like, how do you say, victims or whiners. And sometimes it's not just victim, but we also are people pleasers. We take the customer is always right to elevated levels where everybody is right. So one of the things that we want to realize is that we also want to be able to set and enforce boundaries to our time, boundaries to our health, our physical health, mental health, and emotional health as well. So shift from being a people pleaser, saying yes, yes, yes all the time, to actually be more discerning about what you agree to and set boundaries. So one of the tools that many of us are familiar with is, of course, the Eisenhower matrix, right? The important and the urgent matrix. So then putting that in place, once you have that purpose, objective, outcome, plan, and next step there, then you actually categorize what you have on your plate. Is this important and urgent? If it is, then do it. If it is important but not urgent, you defer it. If it is urgent but not important, you delegate it. And remember here, when you delegate stuff, you're delegating the activity, not the responsibility. You're still 100% responsible. And of course, if it's not important, not urgent, just drop it. So part of this overcoming overwhelm is knowing when to prioritize doing the stuff, being able to defer, stuff, being able to delegate stuff, and the most important, knowing when to drop stuff. Now, a simple framework to help us to do this, there are 3 parts. The first part is actually this whole concept of plan your next day the night before. So the principle is you plan it, you schedule it, and you execute it. Now, what I do is I plan my annual year ahead, and I work in chunks of 4 months. That works for me and my businesses, right? And from the 4 months, I chunk it down to monthly, fortnightly, weekly, and then daily, deliberate, purposeful actions. So I'm always working on a calendar, 2 weeks ahead, 3 weeks ahead, where I plan, schedule, and then execute. Because if we don't do this, especially in writing, we execute. Suddenly, we forget to schedule, we forget to plan and prioritize. Then we realize that we are doing all the rubbish rather than doing the important stuff. So a simple way to do this is plan your day the night before. And part 1 is, what are the 5 most important things you need to do before 11 o'clock a.m.? 5 by 11. The second one is 3 by 5. What are 3 key outcomes you want to get before 5 p.m.? So once you know what are the most important 5 things you need to do, and you do it by 11 a.m., based on Pareto principle, 80% of your results have been done by the 20% of activity that you focused on. That's what they talk about, deep focus right now. And then once you've done your 5 by 11, then you go to what's important next, which is getting your 3 outcomes or 3 key outcomes for the day before 5 p.m. So that's the first part. The second part is about continuing education or learning process, like what Chris talked about, reading, listening to podcasts while we're stuck in jam and stuff like that. Because if we fail to be on any form of continuing education or learning process, we are trying to live and operate in a world and a marketplace that is rapidly changing or no longer exists. So we have to be abreast. So some bullet points is, ask yourself, what grows you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? What grows you doesn't mean eat banana leaf tambah nasi. That is not the growth we are talking about, right? But just to have some fun. What grows you as a person? The next one is, what grows your business? The third question is, what will grow your team? And the fourth one is, what will grow your key relationships? And it can be relationships in your business, in your team, in your family, or with your suppliers, or even with your customers. And the third part is to finish off your day, do your daily 5-3-1. What does it mean? Get a simple notebook like what Chris talked about, a gratitude type journal. And daily 5-3-1 means just before you go to sleep, reevaluate your entire day from the time you woke up until you're lying in bed at that stage, and write down 5 things that you're grateful for. And it can be simple things. I got up and walked out of my bedroom without any aches and pains is something to be grateful for. You know what I mean? So don't look for all these big, massive things. Sometimes the simple things are what we want to be grateful for, and we are once again exercising this muscle. So 5 things to be grateful for. The next thing is 3 things that you learned today. Steve Jobs famously says, stay curious, right? So while we are doing what we are doing, what are 3 things that we learned today? And from these 5-3, develop the one. What is one thing that you are committed to doing better tomorrow in any key area of your life, especially in your business? So just to wrap up, daily 5-3-1 means write down 5 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that you've learned today, and 1 thing that you'll do better tomorrow. I promise you this, you do it daily for 4 months, you will transform your life, your business, and the people around you. Because it's all about repetition, improvement over time. So I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
That is great, Derek. Just got back my connections. I've been listening to all of you guys. I think okay, we have a question from Nurul. Nurul, if you can unmute yourself and ask question. Or anyone else want to ask question, feel free to unmute yourself. I think this is a great opportunity for you to ask your burning
It seems everybody is busy still writing and digesting what gems you guys have been sharing just now.
If you've missed what I said, what I can do is just type it out and send it to Afzal, and then you can forward it to the participants today, if that helps.
Oh, I was just going to suggest that because I was writing so fast that I couldn't catch up most of the things that you mentioned, but it's all great stuff actually.
Cool. I'm
It's
happy to.
now you got summary AI, you can actually click on that and you've gotten the summary and the words. Zoom is so
Yeah.
amazing now.
That's true. That's true.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Sultan.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Myself, Sultan from Beeping Health. Thank you for the good sharing session. It's very, very, very impactful and knowledgeable sharing. Okay. As an entrepreneur, we look at what other entrepreneur does. So basically, some say you need to work out early morning. You need to start your day at 4 o'clock, 5 a.m. Some entrepreneurs will do work actively over the night. They are called nocturnals. So in your experience, in your perspective, does it really matter is when you are starting our day, how we work, on the productivity, based on the productivity and on our mental and wellness.
I've got a simple answer to that. Then maybe Derek can share his opinion. So I'm not the typical as much as I hear everybody, all the successful people, 5 a.m. club, 6 a.m. club, um, I I mean back then I wasn't that person who can think I can do it lah. So, but I don't think that it will make me any less successful. So that was my mindset then. But after joining BNI, I realized that they have all this data of all the different people who have chosen to wake up. Some are waking up earlier for their 7 a.m. meeting, and some chose to wake up later. And they have all these other data associated with it, like how many sales they've created, how many one-to-one meetings they've done, all these associated data that would say how successful has that chapter lah. It's like a club lah. It's a club lah. And they've proven that those people who wake up earlier in the day in order to join a meeting before the 8:30, 9 o'clock, when they start their company, have done more successful referrals and business than those who wake up later or join the meeting later. So not by what I think, but by seeing the data, I know that it is actually more successful. You can actually get better results and more efficiency by waking up earlier. And therefore, I've also changed my own habits. Now today, and if I need to wake up to meet a CEO to play golf at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, last time me will be I don't dare to make that promise because I don't want to break it, right? But today I can definitely wake up. I can definitely wake up at 5 a.m., get everything ready, and be there by 6:30 to meet that person. So that's my data-driven answer to you. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful.
Cool. Can I just add to that, Sultan? And
Yes.
this is a different perspective, right? At the end of the day, also it depends on the nature of your business.
No, that's true.
And remember just now we talked about you versus you. It is this whole process about understanding how, when, and why you perform at your highest potential. Because some people are generally early birds, some people are late birds. I've got a friend who writes brilliant podcasts and content, right? But this person works best from midnight till 6 in the morning. So, it depends on the nature of your work, the nature of your business, and most importantly, you understanding yourself. Because the biggest challenge that we have, which is the start of all this stress, anxiety, and depression rubbish, is because we start comparing ourselves to other people. Hey, that guy 5 a.m. club. I prefer 5 p.m. club. I mean, so that's where working with someone to get perspective is important for yourself. But irrespective of whether you wake up at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., this still holds. You still have to find out what are the 5 most important things you have to do by a period of time and the 3 key outcomes that you want to have out of your day. So for early risers like Chris, it could be 5 by 11 a.m. and 3 by 5 p.m. For other type of people, it could be 5 by 11 p.m. and 3 by 5 a.m. So this is where we say there's no magic bullet, there's no magic key. What you need to do is you need to unlock your combination lock based on what works best for you, your business, your family, your community, and whoever else are stakeholders in what you're doing.
Yeah, sure.
Do we have?
I mean,
Thank you,
I've
Dr. Sultan.
tried to wake up early and also.
Thank you, Dr. Sultan, for that question. If we don't have any more questions, so Derek and Chris, if you guys can share one last message that you think is important for everybody in the room to know. I mean, it can be about mental health, it can be about the stigma that some of them are facing, because some of them they have to hide the feelings, or I mean, from your experience or the lessons that you learned throughout your career, what will be that one message? So, Chris, I start with you first.
For me, I had a conversation with Derek, and we asked ourselves, right? what will make people really realize that, you know, they have a lot of things that they can uncover about themselves. And what I've learned is that sometimes you have to have a crisis, you have to have that challenge before you even realize that you need to make a change, right, for the better. And so to you, I dare you to take risks. If there are things that has caused you to be stuck for whatever reason, fear, anxiety, take that risk. Do something that is out of what your comfort zone is like right now. And whatever you face, then be not afraid that, you know, there are a lot of support system out there that can help you through it, and you can change. And my goodness, you can definitely change. If I last time cannot even clean toilet, and not because I cannot clean toilet, but it's that there's a part of me like says that, you know, I shouldn't be doing things like clean toilet. Now today, I'm proud to tell you, anytime you ask me to clean toilet, I will do it. So there's always time for change, but first you got to take risk.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Derek, your one last minute.
For me, the big shift was in everything I did as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, especially in networking, to shift from being interesting to being interested. You know, most of us, we want to be interesting. We want to share what we have, what we are doing, how we're going to save the world and all that type of stuff. And there's so much of stuff out there, and sometimes we get lost. The way to stand out now is to be interested. Just actually go out to people and ask them, look, how are you? So this one thing, when you shift from being or trying to be interesting to being genuinely interested, you will thrive and your business will boom. So, you know, this whole mindset shift from chasing and hustling towards just being the highest and best version of myself and attracting the ideal opportunities, the ideal people, the ideal suppliers, the ideal staff, the ideal partners into your life will be much easier. Cool, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Chris, for these insightful sessions that we have today. I think if I can take some of the key learning or the practical tips is don't compare yourself with others. Just, I mean, accept your uniqueness and use that to your own advantage, and be clarity. Have a clarity mind and have a clarity body. And lastly is to have empathy. Because we are not working with AI, we are not working with robots, we're working with people. So to know and to understand them is, I think, will help you to work better with them. And to everybody here, thank you for staying till the end of the conversations. I hope you get something out of these conversations, tips or traits or anything to deal with your current situation. And we see you again for our next Impact Tuesday in November. So other than that, thank you so much. And again, thank you to Chris and Derek for all your sharing today. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Afzal. Thank you very much.
Just for fun fact, so Derek and I, we are thinking of making a physical gathering at some point, and we will definitely work with the Proficeo team to see who else is interested, and hopefully we can see you guys face to face.
Yes, we will definitely share the invite with everybody here.
Great. Thank you very much. Looking forward to chatting with you guys again. All the best.
Thank you. All right.